What's up, guys? It's everyone's favorite Camputee here, and right now I have the 22-inch 22 arc that was cut to my specifications from Red Plemons of Old South Gunworks. I now have two Old South Gunworks 22 arc barrels. One is a 16.5, this one's a 22. And I recently shot this one in a Team Sniper field match that was hosted by Dan Posey at Coleman's Creek in Ellerbe, North Carolina. And one of the things that I've done over the years and will continue to do because I feel like it's good practice is obviously before you shoot any kind of distance match, you want to gather as much data on your equipment as possible. Whether that be your laser rangefinder, your ammunition, your gun, your optic, whatever. Sorry, I've been sick since the day before the match. I was puking my guts up even the morning of the match, and I actually feel bad that I wasn't performing my best because it was a team match, and I feel like I cost my partner and I some points because I decided to shoot even though I was sick and everything like that. But I'm also crippled. That probably cost us some shit too, but whatever. Anyway, so one of the things I like to try to track is velocity increases, which happens throughout the course of your barrel life. You'll have increases, plateaus, and you'll have decreases in velocity depending on certain different things that impact your internal ballistics. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make sure that the rifle ammunition and optic are still zeroed at 100 yards, which was goddamn. Oh, you just did a front flip. You just did a fucking front flip off the little table here. You spread these legs, you know what I'm saying? Alright. Now, how in the dick did that happen? Here we go. Alright, now we are cooking with something flammable, I guess. Alright. Back to it. I like to make sure that the rifle ammunition and optic maintained zero throughout the course of fire that I did over the weekend or whatever. And I was making very solid impacts even out past 600 with this one, which is not, it's not difficult, but the target size made it difficult. We'll go over that later. I've talked about how I'm not very impressed by some of the, you know, ELR shots that people have made out past like 4,000 yards and stuff like that because it took them like 80 shots to do it and shit like that. And they were literally shooting at something the size of a barn door. So I'm not super impressed by stuff like that. But, you know, like I hit a like a 4-inch circle or a 6-inch circle at 620 or something like that off of a fucking, you know, unstable support at the match, and I felt pretty good about that. You know, it's like that's one of those things where it's like you have to have your stuff has to be right, and you have to trust your equipment and your data. All right, so I'm going to shoot this, see where my velocity is, and see where my point of impact is by comparison to my point of aim, and see if it maintained after the match. Okay, so I just fired a 5-round group. The group appears to be sub-MOA from here. I'll take a closer picture and share it with you guys. At the time that I gathered my data for this gun, it was about 80 degrees or so, and it's in the high 40s, low 50s today. So there's a little bit of temperature swing here that I would say is on par with about the velocity change that I experienced. I was getting 2960 in like 80 something degree weather, and I'm getting 2930, well 2929.2 today. My extreme spread was a 15.4. This was for 5 shots. And my standard deviation was a 6.2. So I would say that it maintained both precision, sub-MOA, point of aim, point of impact maintained, and I would say that the velocity is tracking with the weather. So I think that this rifle held true in all areas that I expected it to throughout the course of the match. My partner during the match was a good friend of mine, Tom Byram, and the day of the match, the day before the match, he was getting held up at work and shit like that, so I offered for him to shoot one of my guns, and he said yes, absolutely. So Tom actually shot Cinnamon with an S at the sniper match and was my partner, and our data pretty much lined up all the way out to 1,000 yards, and at 1,000 yards it was a 1/10 of a mil difference. So I'm gonna make sure that the gun that I let Tom shoot with the ammunition I let Tom shoot, make sure that it is point of aim, point of impact correct, and I'm gonna see if the velocity changed. With this one, he was shooting an 80 grain ELDM. I don't think that I stated it, but I was shooting a 75 grain ELDM out of mine. And the velocity that I achieved out of this one was 29.35 before the match. So I'm gonna shoot a group with this one, a 5-round group. I'm gonna track my velocity and see where this one's at. I don't imagine this one changed much. The temperature is different. I don't imagine this one changed much because I've shot this one in quite a few matches. The 22-inch Old South Gunworks barrel was pretty new. I had probably less than 50 rounds through it whenever I shot it through shot it in the match. So anyway, and it stayed consistent. So this one I've shot in a couple of matches, like I said. All right. Now, normally, when I zero a gun for designated marksman matches, for precision rifle matches, whatever, I will zero it 1/10 or 2 left of center. That equates to 0.36 inches or 0.75-ish, 0.72 inches left, but my elevation will be good. So I think this one I might have zeroed 1/10 left, maybe. And of course, that's one of those things that you want to tell somebody who's going to be shooting, you know, a gun that's not their own. Another sub-MOA group. Point of impact was point of aim, maybe 1/10 to the left for the remainder of the group. I'm gonna burn this one. Not really, I'm shooting steel. All right, now let's take a look at these numbers. Session summary. If you guys don't have one of these, the Garmin Zero, I suggest you get one. They're awesome. All right. I believe I told you guys 29.35 was the velocity that we went into this thing expecting. And what I got today, which it's about 30 or more degrees colder, is 29.6, so 29.30. So I was 5 off. I'm also using a different powder in this. This is a completely different load that I'd worked up for this gun. So this is using a different powder, a different projectile, but the same brass and same primer. My extreme spread was a 16.8, we'll just call it 17, and my standard deviation was 6.3, I would call that 6. Looks like everything is tracking exactly as it should have, post-match and everything, so I'm happy with it. I'm going to continue shooting 22 ARC in competitions because I truly believe that it is the ultimate small frame competition rifle cartridge.